All right. Welcome, everybody. I am so excited to have you here today. This is Let's Get Fiscal TV Blab Edition. My name is Tina Marie. I am the CEO and founder of The Profit Project, where I'm a business success coach helping you gain clarity and build a business foundation without stifling your creativity and help you build a profitable life. Today's topic is financial planning, and I have Tela Holcomb here. So I'm going to have her introduce herself.
Hi, I'm Tela Holcomb. I'm a financial trading and investment coach, and I teach you how to build a financial income and create a financial legacy through the stock market.
Excellent. So tell us a little more about your background. How did you get into trading, and what made you decide to start coaching on that?
I got into trading and investing back in 2009 when a friend told me about a course he had taken. So at that point, I was in a job that required a lot of my time and required me to be away from my family for a long period of time. And I wanted something that brought in the same amount of income, but allowed me to have more freedom of my time, allowed me to travel when I wanted to. So once I got into learning how to do this, that was it. It was perfect. The money was exactly what I needed to replace my job, and it was perfect. So I worked on perfecting my skills in that, and over the last couple of years, I've had a lot of friends and family that were asking me to teach them how to do this, how to invest their own money and to help them out. So that is where I got the idea of creating a course and actually coaching people on how to get into the stock market, because it can be very intimidating on getting started because of all of the terminology, and it's just a huge learning curve. And I found a way to make that easier for folks. So that's kind of how I got started and how I got to where I am today.
That's awesome. I'm thinking I need to take some lessons from you. I remember when I was a barista, and after being there for a while, they give you shares into the company, so you can start investing into the shares. And then when I left the company, I ended up earning some of that shares back, but I didn't want to spend the money. So I opened up a TD Ameritrade, but it sat blank, empty. I had my money in there, but I didn't invest it because I had no knowledge of what to do. So I end up just buying Starbucks stocks again, just let that sit. I wish I had your knowledge and just like growing it. If I knew I could do that, then I would probably have done that a long time ago. It does seem scary. So tell us some things about trading that you learned that can kind of alleviate the scariness.
It's not that hard. That was one thing I learned was it really isn't that hard. Once it's put in context to where you can understand it, it's really not that hard. You basically start with things that you know about. You start with things that you buy often because you're already spending money on those companies as it is. So if you're already investing in them by buying their product and using their services, then the next step is looking at investing in them in the stock market. And that's how I teach it from. And another thing is that there's a lot of different ways of trading and investing. And a lot of people out there they have these very intricate processes and steps and things that they look at. It's part of their system. And what I've found is that my system is very simplistic compared to a lot of other people's, but it's very profitable. And for me, that is what has worked, just keeping it simple and not trying to overcomplicate it. So that's another thing that I find will help a lot of people when getting started, that you don't have to overcomplicate it. If just simple investing is what works for you, then simply invest. If trading isn't what works for you, then don't trade, because there is a difference there between trading and investing. So
can you elaborate more on that?
Well, when you're trading is for short-term purposes. So you're going to buy stock and your intentions is to sell it within the next couple of days to weeks to months. But for me, I look at investing as buying long-term ownership in companies that have been around for a long time and will continue to be around for even longer time. So you think companies like Coca-Cola, who else? GE, companies like that have been around forever and probably won't go anywhere anytime soon is where you want to invest. So again, investing is buying and holding with no intentions of ever selling it, because you are going to continue to buy more and more shares as if you're trying to buy the company itself. You want to, your goal is to buy to take over the company, if that makes sense, if you will. But that's the whole mindset that you want to have, is like, I want to own this company someday. So if you're investing in a company, it needs to be something that you're willing to own at some point.
So me putting my money back into Starbucks was right, because
yeah, so you drink coffee every day. Like, if I could own Starbucks, they have such a great business model, and they've done so well in the coffee industry. Like, you can go get coffee from anywhere, but the way that they have set themselves up and the experience, the customer service experience that they provide you, has definitely set them apart from other companies that serve coffee.
I mean, just being an employee from there, I was really, really surprised. I joined being a barista because I needed a second job, just bringing money for school. And I love coffee. So I was like, I'm always at Starbucks. Why wouldn't I work there? But I was really, really impressed how they ran it, just even on the local store level. And they're really involved in the community. I do love their business model. I learned a lot more. And they give amazing benefits, even for part-time baristas. And so I just fell in love with the company a lot more. So I like the idea of picking companies that really align with your values and what you already are spending money on.
Yeah.
So that's a great idea. So which platforms do you usually go and invest in or trade in? Like, I signed up for TD Ameritrade because I didn't know anything better. Do you have any tips on that?
I personally use TD Ameritrade, and I do have accounts at Options House. I recommend signing up for a paper account, which a paper account is just a practice account. So it allows you to trade on the stock market with pretend money, if you will. So it gives you the opportunity to practice anything that you're learning, or practice trading some stocks. But I recommend signing up for several different ones just to get a feel for their platform, because that's another learning curve. And you'll find that there's certain companies' platforms that you like better than others. So it will give you a chance to, sign up for their free account and practice and get a feel for the user interface and see if it's something that you like, something that you can use long term. So yeah, but personally, I love TD Ameritrade.
I wish I knew about the paper account. I would have played around with that a lot more.
Yeah.
That's a great. So do most platforms have like a paper account where you can kind of just play around?
Yes.
I like that. Play around with like Monopoly money. That's
and
awesome.
I mean, I highly recommend getting a paper account, because you're learning in the beginning anyway. You don't know what you're doing. So why put your real money at risk trying to learn everything when you can just use paper money? It's like Monopoly.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I need to mentally put that in my notes so I can do that. God, I had another question and I just lost it. Oh, I wanted to ask about how can this pertain to business owners? So I often tell my clients to always set aside a certain percentage of their revenue just for long-term investment, not just to put their money that they get in right away, because then you don't have money at the end of the month with their bank account. So what are some good tips for long-term goals and investing? Should this be an option for business owners, that they can take some of the percentage of their revenue and just start investing it and help their money grow for that long goal?
Yes, they should definitely look at their finances and see how much that they are able to set aside for investing. Because as an entrepreneur, you don't have a 401k or a pension, because you're your own boss, and you may have a 401k or a pension or something that you've rolled from an old employer, but you need something outside of that, because you can no longer contribute to the old 401k or whatever you had from an old employer. So you need to be able to set up something for yourself that you can continue to contribute to as an entrepreneur. So I do recommend setting aside, if you can set aside even $100 a month out of your budget towards business investing, or just creating your own retirement account, if you will, as an entrepreneur. That is a major step. Just getting in the habit of setting that aside is definitely key in starting to grow a retirement account.
Okay. So what benefits are there between like me just jumping on TD Ameritrade and trading myself versus hiring someone to do it for me?
To me personally, the benefit
Yeah.
is no one is going to handle your money better than you. Honestly, no one's going to do that better than you.
I love
And
that.
stockbrokers, they are in the business of you. And let me preface this with, I am not a stockbroker or an investment advisor. I'm just telling you everything from my experience and my years of doing this for myself, and years of having someone else do it for me. But a stockbroker is in the business of you sending your money in every month. So remember when I mentioned setting aside $100 a month. So if you're sending money to an investment advisor, they're going to tell you, oh, you want to set up an allotment of 100, 200, whatever they tell you to set up or whatever you agree to set up to put into your account every month. But they're never going to tell you that there's nothing worth investing in right now in the stock market. They're not going to say, no, Tina, don't send me your money right now. There's nothing worth investing. The stock market is, down. It's in a lull. They're never going to tell you that. They're going to keep telling you to send in your money because that's how they get paid. They get paid when you send in your money. So they're never going to tell you not to. They're never going to tell you that something's not worth investing in that moment. Like, we're not going to have your money just sitting here.
Yeah.
So, like I said, no one takes care of your money better than you. So by doing it yourself and educating yourself, even if you do decide to still have an investment advisor do it for you or a broker do it for you, still get educated on what they're doing and why. And this was one of the reasons I get a lot of people that want me to do it for me. They're for them. They say, just here's my money, you do it for me. I don't like that because you don't know why I'm going to make the decisions that I make. Like I said, if I have your money just sitting on the sidelines, you're like, well, Tela, you're not doing anything with my money. What gives? What are you doing?
Yeah.
Again, I know, like, for me personally, if I don't see anything worth investing in or worth trading at that time, I won't do it. I just won't do anything.
So you don't put money in for a while, or do you like watch the market? Because this is how I'm understanding what you're saying. If there's nothing worth investing in that month or whatever, do you, like, let's say I put money in stocks in Starbucks and then the next month it's not worth it. So are you pulling your money aside, or are you just like not adding more money to it?
I'm not adding more money to it. So,
okay.
and then it depends on if I'm trading. So when I say I'm not putting my money in anything, that's more so trading the stock market. So I'm not trading. If there's nothing worth buying to trade, then I'm not buying anything during that time. But for investing, there's only certain times throughout the year where I will buy specific companies. Like I said, are long-term ones, and there's only certain times throughout the year where I will buy those, and that's when they're worth buying. But so I'm not buying them every month. It's when they're getting ready to go up is when I buy more of them. So whereas a broker will tell you just keep sending in money.
And that's kind of scary. That's really scary. You have to trust in your advisor.
Exactly. And I feel like you can't completely, and I'm not bashing advisors at all. What I'm saying is, or brokers, what I'm saying is if you're going to employ one, know what their system is, what their process is, so that you are educated as to why they're making the decisions with your money. Because like I said, that way, if you don't agree with one of the decisions, you can say, well, I don't agree with it being that way. Let's do this instead. So you can have an educated input on your money.
I like that. I think you should be interviewing your financial advisors and making sure they're a good fit for you and they understand your goals. I know quite a few financial advisors that I would definitely recommend because they're more about getting to know you, your relationships, what are your goals, and then giving you the proper products in line with that instead of like, oh, I need to push this product this month because that's what our company needs to. And I don't want that type. So you got to find someone that's going to really align with your goals. But I do like the idea of, it's true, no one's going to manage your money better than you. So even if you're going to hire a financial advisor to do the trading for you or pick the products for you, make sure you are educating yourself. I love that. So what are some tips when you get started besides the paper account? Like, how would we research? Like, let's say I didn't work at Starbucks and didn't know anything about the company, but I always buy products from them. What are kind of some sites, or I can do some background research on their financials to kind of see if they're a good company to invest in?
I would say start with, you can go to Yahoo Finance, and that's where you can see what their current stock price is, how they've been doing over the last couple of weeks. You can also go to any company's website and look for their investor relations website or page. And on there is where they will pretty much list their income reports. So they'll tell you like over the quarters, like how they've been doing. And one of the things you want to look for is, do they give dividends to their investors? Meaning every quarter, are they issuing out funds to their investors? You also want to see, are they spending or making more than they're spending? It's just like in your business. You're not going to make any money if your sales aren't outweighing your expenses. So that's something you want to look at when you're investing in a company, because if their sales aren't outweighing their expenses, then they're not making money, which means they're not making you money as an investor. So
excellent. That's a great point. I'm going to take a quick moment to say, if you have any questions in the audience, go ahead and type them in the live chat, or you can also jump in and be on camera with us and join into the conversation, ask your questions as well. So the next thing I wanted to ask, how long did it take you from starting to learn how to do the investing and trading at your 9-to-5 and the transition of walking away from your 9-to-5 for anybody that might be interested in stepping into your shoes?
I want to say 2009, and then I finally stepped away in 2012, and it wasn't planned. Like it was planned, but when it happened, it wasn't according to my plan. It happened sooner than what I wanted. And I was scrambling. I was trying to find another job. And then I decided, okay, I'm going to keep on with the investing while I look for a job, because, I've got a kid. I've got to do something. So after a while of looking for a job and not finding anything, then it kicked in. Like I'm actually making money over here with this investing thing, with the trading, and it wasn't taking all of my time. That's another thing that a lot of people with the trading aspect, a lot of people feel that they have to sit in front of a computer all day. And that's not what my system does. Like as a day trader, yes, maybe. So there's day traders who sit in front of their computers all day. But for me, it didn't require me to be in front of my computer all day. So that allowed me to try to do other things, look for another job, maybe start another business, which is why this is great for entrepreneurs who are wanting to have a different stream of income in addition to their business. So in 2012 is when I finally stepped away, and it took me about 8 months to actually realized that I was making or 8 months before that is when I realized I was actually making what I was making at my job. So I had nothing to really be afraid of, but I was afraid of, it was the unknown. I was so comfortable at a 9-to-5 and knowing I was getting a paycheck that when it happened, I was like, oh crap, what am I going to do? But I was making the money already. And that's what was comforting, is knowing that I was making it and I didn't have to rely on a job anymore. And key for me is paying off your debt. Like that was another thing that I had been doing, because that was part of my plan, is paying off all of my debt. So once I didn't have a job and all I had to rely on was investing and trading, then I wasn't scared of not making as much, because I didn't have bills to pay. That's what was tying me to my 9-to-5, or tying me to the paycheck of my 9-to-5, is the fact that I had bills to pay before. And when I didn't have those, it just made it so much easier.
I love that idea. I mean, we are kind of conditioned growing up to think, go to school, get your degree, go get your career, get married, buy a house. And you just end up going. And I felt like this because I think for me, I've worked 2 jobs since I was 17. I'm 31 now. And now I'm working 2 jobs, building different businesses. They're really businesses, not jobs. But in my mind, I was going to work to pay for things that I couldn't or didn't have the time to enjoy, like my house or go on vacation or my car. It was just like, okay, my money was just going in and out. That's how I felt. And that's not how you should respect money. So I love the idea of maybe making this a side thing, make it a goal to pay off your debt. So instead of the money that you're putting into the debt, maybe you can invest it and let that money work smarter for you. And then take the earnings to pay off debt. And then next thing you know.
Exactly.
your house, you're free, and you're still investing and making money. And now you can walk away from your 9 to 5.
Exactly.
I love that idea.
Because that's what that's what we work until we're 70, 80 for, is to pay for a house that has a 30-year mortgage on it, to have, cars, and to pay all of our bills. That's why we continue to work. But once you step into the arena of being an entrepreneur, sometimes, especially in the beginning when you're trying to make it work, sometimes you don't know if you're going to meet those income goals. So being able to have your debt paid down is so comforting, to know that if I don't meet that income goal this month, it's not like I'm not going to be able to make my house or my mortgage payment, or I'm not going to be able to make my car payment, because you've already, paid those off. So that's one thing I advocate with my clients, is make sure you're paying that debt off, because all that money that you're making really doesn't mean anything if you're not going to pay off your debt, or you're just going to continue to accumulate even more debt. The main purpose is to pay off that debt, because once all your debt is paid off, the money piles up. And as an entrepreneur, that's important for us. Everything is relying on our success in the business that we've created. So you want to pay down as much debt as you possibly can, because that's going to help you become or be successful in your business, is how I look at it.
Yeah, it's funny because I have an accounting background, but I really teach my clients a different way to manage their money. And I did a Periscope, and I didn't realize it was like a gold mine when I was talking about you need to have different bank accounts. I didn't realize how much of that information that business owners didn't need or needed, just didn't know. And so separating your money in separate bank accounts, planning for taxes, planning a little extra part of your profits straight into a bank account and to not touch it, the cash and reserves, is a huge deal to me, because then you plan, and then you can pay yourself, and then you pay your expenses. And I tell them that you put your money into your cash and reserves first, like whatever percentage you decide. If you can only afford 1% this month, or for the next 6 months, then do 1%, but start somewhere. And it's an account that you can't touch. And that's the money where down the road, where when you do walk away from your 9 to 5, you have that money there already to reinvest in your business, or you have money to hire people. I think it's a good planning way. And it's the exact same thing for trading as well. If you're going to do this on the side, raise your money, you should be paying down your debts instead of adding debts to build your business or spending all the money that you have every month. It's great that you made 15 grand. But if you spend 10 to 12,000 to get that 15 grand, you don't really have money in the bank.
Exactly.
You're not really comfortable. So I love that idea of keep that mindset, keep that growth mindset, look for the long term, not for the short term. Like, that's awesome. So Vivian had a question. Do you recommend any books to broaden your knowledge on the first time investing people? So anyone who's investing for the first time, any books?
I do, actually. I'm going to put a link in here, Vivian, for you. This is a link to my book list. It's a free book list. And honestly, it's a mindset book list for investing. And it's where I feel everyone should start when they want to get into trading and investing, because honestly, it's a mindset thing. If you are in the right mindset as far as saving your money and paying off the debts and things like that, then that's what's going to be key when you get into investing, and being patient. Another thing that these books talk about is battling fear and greed when it comes to the money that you start making when you start investing in the stock market, is because some people will get greedy and they spend it on things that they probably shouldn't. Or, Tina, you were talking about the 3 different accounts. They may decide they're going to move some money from here to kind of, so it's a whole mindset thing. So the books on that list are more mindset, but I'm telling you that like really builds your foundation for investing. So that's where I would say to start.
I think that's really, really important. And mindset's huge just to be an entrepreneur. So entrepreneurs, if you have tackled that mindset already, kind of barrier or border, then I think you're probably in the right place already to start trading. And you made a great point about my accounts. I always talk about, or you always hear this, robbing Peter to pay Paul. You can't be in that mindset, like, oh, I'm going to borrow from my savings account to do this. You can't. Like, I had to retrain my brain after my divorce. Like, no, as much as I need it, I will deal with it, not touching my savings account. And you kind of have to be in that mindset. So not being a rush, being patient. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs or even just professional careers, if you're at a 9 to 5, being patient, you've learned that and growing. So, oh, Lisa had mentioned this is such a great conversation to be having. The message that you need to educate yourself because no one will care more about your money than you is so important. And it's true. That was a great point. As a priest, I'm not sure about that question, Vivian. Investor, what would I expect with my first year of exploring the different options and investing?
What should I expect with my first year of exploring different options and investing? Meaning income-wise or?
Yeah, can you elaborate on that question, Vivian?
And that, and if you're referring to income wise, that's going to definitely depend on how much or the companies you decide to start with and how much you decide to start with, for one thing. But I would say if you're starting with a good solid company, like I was saying, one of those that's been around for a long time and continues to be around for a long time, you want to think long term, not necessarily within a year for that stock. You want to think years to decades from now is where do you think that stock would be? Where do you think that company would be? But if you're looking for a year time frame, then you might want to look into trading the stock market versus investing in the stock market.
That's a great tip. Yeah. That's a great tip. Now, for looking in the long term, I mentioned earlier about like looking at financials, and you were talking about looking at their financials every quarter. Is there a way to look in the past, like maybe the past 5 years, 3 years, 10 years, history, financials of the company?
Yes, absolutely. You can go to, like I said, Yahoo Finance, or even on their investor relations website, like I was saying, they actually have the past quarters, past years reports, because they by law have to file those reports saying how much they made, how much they've invested, how much cash they have. So basically our same financial reports that we have as an entrepreneur, they have to make those public because they're a publicly traded company and they have investors. So they have to actually post that information. So you can find some of that on Yahoo Finance. And you just go in and you put in, type in the company's name or their stock symbol if you know it, or you go to their website and look for their investor relations page.
Nice. So do you have any tips about how to read their financial statements? I mean, I teach this too, but someone who doesn't have an accounting background.
Oh, well, then that's more your area. I am honestly, I'm looking at how much cash do they have on reserve. So how much cash are they sitting on? What were their sales and what is their expenses? And that kind of gives you an idea how they're doing financially. Like if you have more expenses or they have more loans or things like that they have to pay off compared to the sales that they're making, then that would be a concern for me as to whether they're going to continue to be profitable or what are their goals to change that around? Because, I mean, you can run into times of the year, just like with our personal finances, our business finances. There are some lulls in the year or a recession where they may not be doing as well. But again, if their sales, if you find that their sales, they're able to keep their sales higher than their expenses over the long term, then when you hit those types of lows, then they're going to be more apt to rebound during or after a recession or after a big lull in their industry. So that's some of the things that I look for when I look at their finances.
Another tip from me, when you're reading their financial statements or their investor relations, start reading the notes from the CEO and the CFO. Yes. Because the numbers do tell a story, but a lot of times the CEO and the CFO have to explain the numbers. So they'll write down the notes. So go all the way down, find where the notes are, and they'll explain why they did what they did. So if you see that they borrowed more money and they opened a bunch of stores when they still had a bunch of stuff in debt, that's where the CEO or the CFO is going to explain why they did that and what they cut back on and what their plan is for the next year or the next 5 years. So that's another way you can also get some more information about what direction they're going to go as a business.
Absolutely.
So that's a,
and then, yeah, and that gives you gives you some insight as to whether if that CEO or CFO's um, feedback on that isn't in line with how you feel the company should be, or how a company should be ran, or what with
yeah.
your money as an investor, then those are signs for you as to whether or not to invest in them.
That's a great point. And almost you want to do research on the CFO and the CEO and see what their background is and success stories are. Did they just get hired to fix certain aspects because they were really successful in their last position? That's another idea to really look at. Absolutely. More in depth, just the numbers. You know, even strange for an accountant to say this, but it's more than just the numbers. The numbers tell a story. But you got to dig deeper and look at, that's what I tell my clients when they start building their businesses, even if they go to a brick and mortar and start hiring, you are a reflection of your staff, because how you manage your management staff as a leader, as a CEO, is going to be how they manage their staff and downward. It has to be teamwork. And so if your CEO or your CFO is not in alignment of the vision and mission statement of the business, of the corporation, or whoever that you're going to be investing in, and it's not in alignment of what you think it should be, then yes, you don't want to invest in that business. You probably don't want to buy their products. I don't know. It depends on what.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, do you recommend taking an accounting workshop or class to better understand how to manage your own investments? Tela, I'll let you answer that question. I'll answer.
An accounting workshop or class. You definitely want to have some type of accounting background. So, because you're going to need to keep track of how much you're making when you're investing, and then how much you're going to have to pay, depending on how you're investing. Because if you're investing outside of a 401k, any type of pre-tax vehicle, you're going to be responsible for paying taxes on the money that you make when you invest. So you do need to be able to keep track of that. So I do think some basic accounting workshop and how to calculate taxes in that regard would be very beneficial. Absolutely.
For me, I think everybody should take an accounting 101 class, but that is just me.
Personally.
Not even have to be a business owner, but just to start investing, I think what is really important is learning how to read financial statements. And there's plenty of free resources online. You can probably find some YouTube videos, but really learning financial ratios.
Yes.
So learn how to calculate financial ratios and learn how to read financial statements, I think, are the biggest things to learn for investment. But when it comes to managing your own personal finances or even your business, definitely would take a 101 class, maybe one or two. But I think taking an accounting class might give you more information than you need to learn how to read financial statements and just to invest. But I think everyone should take a 101 class. And hopefully you have a fun teacher.
A good place to start as well, especially when it comes, because the terminology can be a little intimidating. Yeah. So I just put a link for in the chat about ratios, but that site, Investopedia.com, is a great place to start when you are unsure what a term means or you need something elaborated on. That's a very good site to start with.
It's a great site. I use it all the time. And just like me, just learning about stocks and other companies, there's phrases, words that I don't understand or haven't been exposed to. So that is definitely a great resource. Check out Investopedia. Definitely learn how to do financial ratios. They're really easy, simple. It might be intimidating when you first look at it, but it really isn't that difficult to calculate a ratio. And it's just, you got the profitability ratios, I think it's liquidity ratios, and you're just really finding out how they compare to everybody else in their industry. So are they actually performing well, or are they under par? That's what you want to use the financial ratios for.
And that's why I think it's important to start with stocks and companies that you know, because you understand the business model, you understand the product, you understand the service. So when you get into comparing the ratios and, well, are they doing good compared to other companies in their industry, you understand the industry already. So that's not something else that you have to then try to understand.
Yeah, That's a great point. So Vivian asked, what are your thoughts on investing in other countries? Are you meaning companies that are international companies, or they've started in another country?
That's a good question.
I'll let you elaborate, but maybe you can still answer the question.
Yeah, I agree. It depends on what she means by other countries, like international companies. Well, it's going to depend on if they are on the stock market. Like, I'm not on an international stock market, so I'm not sure what the processes are as far as like getting established or getting an account for trading international companies on an international stock exchange. But there are companies that are foreign companies, but they are on the U.S. stock exchange, like Baidu. It's Baidu. They are a foreign company. I believe they're out of China, and they are actually on the U.S. stock market. So, I mean, they're a foreign company, but you could invest in them through the U.S. stock market. So that's one way to do it. You could also go the route of Forex, and that's foreign exchange. So you're doing foreign money. So that's one way of investing in internet. It's not international company, but it's their currency. You can invest in their currency, basically.
That's interesting. I've been hearing a lot about Forex trading, but that seems scary to me too. I like your idea of starting with something I know.
Exactly. So that's why I don't do Forex, because
yeah. But people are making lots of money for that. But I think that'll be something like down the road of education and educating myself on that. I can't talk today, apparently. But for me, I mean, like something like Starbucks is nationally, it's a worldwide company now because they have stores in Italy and all in Europe and other places. So you can start with a company that you know that's maybe based in the US that is worldwide and kind of do more research. But I like your idea of talking about Baidu, how they are a foreign country or foreign corporation that is on the US stock exchange. So for me personally, I would look into how do they help our economy right now? Like, what does that corporation contribute to us? Are they bringing in transportation to help corporations bring it? I would want to look more into seeing how they're helping our local economy or our national economy, that aspect. But that's just me. I'm not a trader, but for me to be picking a company outside of the US, that's what I would be looking for.
And I would think, I would say you could also look at whether the company, it can be a U.S. company, but do they have ties with any other countries? Are they expanding in any other countries, or have, those business relationships with them? Because that's a sign of growth, because they're also working on or have a footprint in those other countries. So, yeah.
I like that. So do you have any other tips or things we should know about trading?
Let's see.
Not to give all your secrets away.
One thing I want to tell people is don't let the news get to you. A lot of people trade or invest based on the news. I don't. The news creates an emotional reaction out of you, and people tend to do or invest off of their emotions. And it's usually not the right thing to do. It's usually not the right choice, because you'll buy or you'll sell based off of those emotions. And it's usually the wrong thing to do every single time. So I tend to not trade. Well, I will listen to the news just to see what those who don't know will do. Because I do the opposite of that. Because I know some people will, just the other day, what was it? One of the market was down because of that one plane that went missing, and everyone was selling stuff. So it's like, well, why are we selling right now? It's really not something, it's not anything wrong with the company you're investing in or a market in general. It was just emotions. So I would say, just to test this out, I would like for you guys to just listen to the news, CNBC, any financial news. And when you hear or you read an article about a company or a stock, check their stock price at that time, and then write down what you think they're going to do based on that news. So if you see something go across the screen on CNBC about Apple, write down what you think they're going to do in response to that news. Do you think that stock is going to go up, or do you think it's going to go down? And then check back about a week later and see, what did it do? Did it do what you thought it was? Is it up from that price that you heard that news, or is it down? And I guarantee you 9 times out of 10, it will not go in the direction that you think it will because of that news. So that's one. I just want you guys to try that out and let me know. Let me know how it goes for you. But usually, it's not the.
That's a great exercise.
It's not the way you think it will, and that's how I want everyone to just learn that. Don't invest based on just news alone. News that you hear on television. You want to look at their financial statements. You want to see how they're doing over the long term. But just something that just comes up on news, you don't want to just base a trade off of that alone.
That's almost the same with personal finance. You don't want to make emotional decisions when it comes to spending money, like going grocery shopping when you're hungry.
Exactly.
That's, so going back to what you're saying about mindset is really thinking long term and not reacting. That's a really great point to make for that. Oh, yeah, it was you. I did. I don't have any more questions right now. I'm trying to think. You said in 8 months you made enough money.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how many companies did you start off with? Did you start off with 1 or 2 or 5?
Well, what I did was I took my 401k from my company because I had learned how to do this, and then I, stopped working or got, didn't have a job anymore, and I was like, I'm going to figure this out. So I rolled at that time. I kind of knew what I was doing. So I took my 401k out. I don't advise doing that. Don't do that. But I rolled it out into a Roth IRA, which means I had to pay taxes on all that money. So that's why I say don't do that. But because I knew how to trade it a little more aggressively, I took that out and I was able to double it. So I took it from 40,000 to about 91 in 8 months. And then, yeah. So, and that was, I would say that's a special case there. But as far as everything else, I was making just what, I didn't need to make any more than what I was making at my full-time job already. So it was just, yeah.
It was stepping away. That was the
hardest part because I wasn't what I thought would be the perfect time plan setup wasn't in place yet. And, but
it happened quicker than you were ready.
It did. I mean, God has his own plan, I guess. So it happened. But yeah.
That's a great story. I'm going to probably have to open up my TD Ameritrade account again. And
do it. I would say even just get in the habit of, like I said, putting that money away into a savings account while you're learning and getting educated and finding stocks that you want to invest in. Do that first, is so that you get into the habit of putting that money away while you're learning, so that when you are ready to actually buy your first stock, then it's not that it's not going to hurt you because you're already putting that money away. You're just already in the habit of doing that.
So Angelique asked, this question may have been asked forever, but would you please provide a few basic steps a newbie should take to begin? So why don't we just summarize everything that we talked about and kind of everyone.
All right. So first you want to start with that book list that I posted to just kind of get you in the right mindset for investing. And I'll repost that here. Then you want to start with companies that you know about. You want to look around what are stores that you frequent a lot, what are products that you buy often. If you buy makeup, if you're a makeup person, that would be a great place to start. I see Tora is on here. She's a photographer, so she could look into companies like, I don't know if Kodak has stock, but that would be somewhere to start. Like she knows, or Canon, or whoever, makes the cameras or the film or, whatever equipment that she uses. But that would be a great place to start because that would be somewhere or companies that she knows most about. So look at it in that aspect, and also look around your home, like your washer, your dryer, who makes those? Like that is something that I don't see we will stop using or buying in anytime soon. We're always going to need a washer or dryer. Or cars, or who makes the car that you drive. So start with those things that you know about and that that you're buying often or investing a lot of money in already. So I would recommend starting there because, again, like I said, you know those companies better than any other company. So, I mean, I can't tell you to go start with, a bio company if you don't know about bio, because you don't know what you're investing in. You don't know their business model or their product. So it's going to be hard for you to really make an educated investment because you don't know their business model. So start with the companies you know about.
Great point. And just to kind of review some tips, learn how to read financial statements, learn how to calculate financial ratios. It's super easy, basic, and that'll help you do more research on the companies itself and their investor relations. When they put up their financials, you can look at the quarterly and really see if they have a lot of cash on hand and cash in reserves. You really want to look into the notes and see why. A company should never have too much in cash and reserves. Are they planning to buy a new building or expanding in the next year or so? If that's the case, then awesome. But if they're sitting on a lot of money and they're not paying down their liabilities like loans, and they're not paying back to the investors, then you want to question what they're doing. So start looking at those things. Thank you, Tora. So we are winding down to the last about 14 minutes. I want Tela to be able to reintroduce herself and let everyone know how they can follow her. And if you are offering any classes anytime soon, so you want to get more help with Tela, more information from her.
All right, I'm going to post this really quick. Just wanted to say investor relations, like you said, is a great place to start on a company's website to see their financial statements. So for those of you that don't know me, I'm Tela Holcomb. You can go to my website, telaholcomb.com. I have a free course on getting started with trading and investing, and it will help you determine whether you want to trade, invest, or both, because that's that's something that you definitely need to determine is if you want to do this together as a system for trading and investing, or do you just want to invest? And I know as entrepreneurs, like I said, we don't have that 401k or that pension plan from a normal employer. So we do need to set ourselves up for success later when we are ready to retire from our business. So that would be a great place to start. I have my, again, my mindset book list is on there. I go live every Sunday on Facebook, just kind of sharing tips and giving you ideas of where you can invest, different companies. I just help you look at different things in your normal day-to-day life that you may not have thought of as an investment opportunity. So I would love if you guys could follow me on Facebook and just start getting that free content and start getting into investing for yourself. Because like I said, no one is going to take care of your money better than you.
Awesome. And she's amazing on Facebook Live. So definitely follow her Facebook page. And it's Wednesdays and Sundays, correct? Perfect. And okay, we had one more question. What is considered too much in cash and reserves? It really depends on the company. And it's really the ratio of how much cash assets they have versus what they have in liabilities, and are they paying out dividends? So it's a formula kind of. I can't tell you a percentage wise, and I can't tell you which companies. You just got to look at the industry standards. You got to see what they've done in the history and read the notes, read the CEO notes and CFO notes and their financial statements and really see what their plans are. If there's no mention, they just have a bunch of cash, they're sitting there, then you got to really kind of question what are they doing. I
agree. And I'll throw an example out there about pretty much explains exactly what Tina Marie is saying. And that's Apple. Like, I love Apple. I'm an Apple fan, and they were sitting on cash for a long time, and a lot of cash. And a lot of companies or a lot of analysts were like, what are their plans for all this cash? And at first, that didn't really concern me because they were still being innovative. They were always coming out with a new product. The newest iPhone and the iPad, but now I feel like, and all their other financial items were okay, their expenses, things like that. But now I feel like they're getting to a point where they're not as innovative. And within the last couple of years is when they finally started paying out dividends. So it's like you stopped being innovative, but you're not really doing anything else with that money. So that's where, it's starting to concern me. It's like, okay, so what is the plan for this? So, and before it was smart. Now it's not so smart because I'm not so sure what you're doing with this money that I'm investing in you, you know, if you're not being even more innovative, you know, so.
Yeah, so Tela makes a good point. So they were being innovative. So they were probably setting that cash there to help reinvest and do a bunch of research and development for new products. But if they're not doing that anymore and they're still sitting on that money and they're just now paying out dividends to investors, to me, that's telling me, okay, you've gotten to a stalemate or a stale point with your company, with innovation. So that's not in alignment of what your company is about. Your company is about innovation. So that would make me question. So those are the kind of variables you want to take a look at. So if there's not any more questions, I'll lead up for the next minute. Hopefully this recording will be up right away. We had some troubles last month. So if you were here last month for our Blab, I will be doing a new webinar. Blab was being a little technical difficulty, so I didn't record. So we're going to be doing a webinar next month on professional organizing and how to get your business, personal, everything organized, and we'll re-answer those questions for you again. Thank you, Vivian, everyone. So everyone, you have a great day. It was lovely having you here. I'm Tina Marie again with the Profit Project. You can find me on Facebook at The Profit Project or on Twitter at Let's Get Fiscal TV. And every once in a while, I pop on Periscope as well at Let's Get Fiscal TV as well. So have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.